Welcome to the December 2024 edition of the GECF Monthly Gas Market Report. We would like to present a short overview of the main highlights of the report, which include the major developments in the gas market during the last month. Global GDP growth forecasts for 2024 remain steady at 3.1%. In the US, the GDP growth forecast remains at 2.8%, supported by robust consumer spending and a resilient labor market. Meanwhile, GDP growth projections for the Euro area and China remain unchanged at 0.8% and 4.8%, respectively. Additionally, India's GDP growth forecast for 2024 has been revised down by 0.4 percentage points to 6.4%, driven by slower growth in the third quarter amid weakening domestic consumption. Looking ahead, global economic growth for 2025 has been maintained at 3.2%. Global inflation continues to ease, with average rates projected at 4.5% for 2024 and 3.4% for 2025. In November 2024, EU gas consumption increased by 12% year-on-year to 35 BCM, marking the third consecutive monthly rise following 7 months of decline. This growth was primarily driven by higher gas demand in the electricity sector. Reduced wind speeds led to a significant surge in gas burn within the power sector, as gas-fired power plants played a crucial role in stabilizing the electricity grid across the EU. Additionally, colder weather increased demand in the residential and commercial sectors, while industrial gas consumption continued to grow, supported by a recovery in major European countries and lower gas prices. Total electricity production in the EU rose by 1% year-on-year, reaching 215 terawatt-hour. Gas-fired electricity generation recorded a huge growth of 38% year-on-year, reflecting lower outputs from hydro and wind. In November 2024, the U.S. gas consumption increased by 0.3% year-on-year to 79 BCM. Gas-fired power generation witnessed a 6% year-on-year growth, while overall power output rose by 2.6% year-on-year. However, the industrial, residential, and commercial sectors declined by 2%, 3.3%, and 3.4% year-on-year respectively. In the power mix, gas continued to lead with a 42% share. In October 2024, China's apparent gas demand rose by 13% year-on-year to 35.4 BCM. Gas-fired power generation increased by 2.4%, offsetting a decline in hydroelectric output. In addition, the Economic and Technology Research Institute revised upward its outlook for China's 2024 gas demand, from 415.7 BCM in February to 422.2 BCM in November. A key growth driver is the rapid adoption of LNG as a transport fuel, supported by a government subsidy program for companies transitioning from diesel to low-emission trucks, introduced in June, which has helped offset investment costs. The projected growth in global gas consumption for 2024 has been revised upwards to 2.4%. This revision is primarily due to a faster-than-expected increase in gas consumption in key consuming countries, which together account for 60% of global gas demand. In October 2024, global gas production was estimated to have increased by 1% year-on-year to stand at the level of 356 BCM. All the main producing regions showed a positive production trend, except for Africa, which was impacted by the decline in some of its major producers, and North America, which witnessed a decline of 1.9 BCM, driven by the lower gas output in the US. In the first 10 months of 2024, global gas production was estimated to have increased by 2.5% year-on-year to stand at 3,474 BCM. This growth was primarily driven by the rise in Russia's production. The projected growth of global gas production for the year 2024 has been estimated at 2.5%, the same as the last projection, driven by counterbalancing projections for both the Middle East and North America. In October 2024, Europe witnessed a 1.5% year-on-year rise, culminating in a total output of 15.7 BCM from the elevated gas production in Norway, along with the rise in Turkey's gas output. However, the magnitude of the production rise was minimized by the decline in the UK's and the EU's output levels. In October 2024, China's gas production rose by 9.7% year-on-year to reach 20.9 BCM. Coal bed methane output continued its growth to culminate an output of 1.5 BCM, with a 21% year-on-year rise. In November 2024, the U.S. total gas production continued its downward trend with a 2.1% year-on-year decline, reaching a monthly output of 87.9 BCM. This reduction in the U.S. output reflected the combined effect of Hurricane Rafael, which temporarily slashed total Gulf of Mexico gas production by 37%, along with the effect of production cuts by some major producers. Additionally, from January to November 2024, the U.S. cumulative gas production decreased by 0.1% year-on-year to reach 975 BCM. PNG imports by the EU countries has been consistent in 2024, despite the anticipated supply disruption due to Norwegian maintenance in September. In November 2024, the EU imported 13 BCM, which was unchanged from the level of 1 year ago, as well as the previous month. From January to November 2024, EU PNG imports reached 144 BCM, an increase of 3% compared with the same period in 2023. During the month, Norway increased supply to Germany by 8% month-on-month, while supply to France fell by 33% month-on-month. Algerian exports to Italy also rose by 4% during the month. After providing 6 BCM of regasified LNG over the year, there was zero net flows via the interconnectors with the UK in November. China imported 5.4 BCM of PNG in October 2024, an increase of 10% year-on-year. However, this volume was 23% lower month-on-month due to curtailed energy demand in the country during the annual Golden Week celebrations. China's total PNG imports over the 10 months of 2024 increased by 14% year-on-year. Global LNG trade is on track to grow by 2% in the full year of 2024, driven mainly by stronger imports in Asia-Pacific, which offset a sharp decline in Europe. In November 2024, global LNG imports declined by 3.4% year-on-year to 34 metric tons, marking the lowest level for the month since 2021. That was primarily due to a sharp year-on-year reduction in floating storage of LNG cargoes in October 2024, as the steep price contango observed in October 2023 was less pronounced this year. This dynamic led to a spike in imports in October, followed by a decrease in November. Europe accounted for the majority of the decline, with LNG imports falling by 14% year-on-year to 9.1 metric tons. In contrast, LNG imports in Asia-Pacific rose slightly by 0.2% year-on-year to 22.9 metric tons, the weakest monthly level since June 2024, due to tight LNG supply. On the export side, global LNG exports rose significantly by 3% year-on-year to reach 35.69 metric tons, marking a record high for the month. The stronger LNG exports came mainly from Australia, Malaysia, Mexico, Nigeria, Peru, Qatar, and Trinidad and Tobago. With the start of the Northern Hemisphere winter, net gas withdrawals has commenced in the EU. In November 2024, the average daily volume of gas and underground storage decreased to 95 BCM, or 92% of the region's capacity, which was 7.4 BCM less than 1 year ago. There were 10 BCM of net gas withdrawals, driven by a short cold spell at the start of November, and a period of low solar and wind power output. In Asia-Pacific, the combined volume of LNG in storage in Japan and South Korea in November 2024 increased to an estimated 15.5 BCM, which was 2.1 BCM more than the 5-year average storage level for that month. In the US, net gas injections continued into November 2024, and the average daily volume of gas in storage increased to 112 BCM, or 84% of capacity, while pushing to 6.7 BCM higher than the 5-year average. Gas and LNG spot prices in Europe and Asia continued their upward trajectory for the second consecutive month in November 2024. The TTF spot price averaged $13.83 per million British thermal units, marking an 8% month-on-month increase, while the average Northeast Asia spot LNG price averaged $14.03 per million British thermal units, up by 7% month-on-month. Meanwhile, in the US, the Henry Hub spot price experienced a slight decline, averaging $2.18 per million British thermal units, but exhibited high volatility during the month. Looking ahead, weather conditions will remain a key driver of spot price movements, with colder than usual temperatures expected to exert additional upward pressure on prices. Thank you for watching this short video presentation on the December 2024 edition of the GECF Monthly Gas Market Report. We invite you to download the full report from our website at www.gecf.org, or you can scan the QR code.